My channel is about 2 weeks old and I've uploaded half a dozen videos or so. Initially I wanted to follow current events, but that becomes increasingly more problematic as they become ever more serious in nature.
You need to stop throwing rocks at the police!
I want to be able to think through my ideas, but like many millennials I'm worried about offending someone. Is there any wise words out there on the internet?
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
Fair enough, that'll do. My initial response was, good grief, that looks egregious, America's got problems, but beyond that initial incident, which everyone agrees is abhorrent, I was wondering how the news would report it. I think they have an uncanny ability to look into the whole of same events and draw completely different conclusions based on the same facts. Someone like Ben Shapiro, for instance, do you think that he would celebrate or denigrate the president?
And President Trump declares he'll unleash the military if chaos continues.
Strong words from Mr. Shapiro there. Meanwhile, here in the UK, let's listen to LBC Remainer James O'Neill. I wonder what he has to say.
Ignore the fact that your president hid in a bunker and then ordered the tear gassing of peaceful protesters.
Including the word Remainer doesn't necessarily mean anything in regards to this issue, apart from, of course it does, because as soon as I said that, you know what he's going to say. He's not going to be pro-Trump, he's going to be pro-protesters, because that's just so inevitable. It seems like we all just crawl immediately into our own safe spaces. Julia Hartley-Brewer, friend of the middling sort in Britain, provided this sort of indignant outrage at police officers taking a knee in an attempt to sympathise with protesters and avoid a full-scale riot.
Police officers kneeling down during an illegal protest to show that they are also on the side of those who were protesting.
Very good, Julia. Very cathartic to the middle-class sensibilities. Do you think you could go slightly further by conflating people fighting for their perceived civil rights campaign and summer holidays?
Obviously, there's a small minority committing violence against the police, and nothing is done by the police. And yeah, if you go on holiday to Spain and you come back, you're expected to face 2 weeks in quarantine or £1,000 fine.
Spectacular.
These demonstrators are ready to confront these law enforcement officers. You have law enforcement in heavy tactical gear.
We're back over on this side of the aisle now with CNN. These people have just smashed down the windows of your foyer and are threatening to storm your building. Are you sure they're protesters? Are you sure this hasn't bubbled over into a riot?
Protesters that are, clearly ready. You just see something else happen there. Another demonstrator threw what appeared to be a large object at one of those SWAT officers.
Demonstrator, interesting. We're not going to call them a rioter yet. They're still a demonstrator, probably a protester, probably a misguided protester doing a bit of demonstrating.
Another large object just thrown there at CNN. This is our home, Chris, This is where we come to work every day.
Yes, I agree, it looks pretty terrible, but still, because of your audience and their sensibilities, you're not going to actually call it what it is.
Had rows of protesters, or whatever you want to call them, demonstrators, angry, agitated individuals.
Rows of angry, agitated individuals. I'm not even really sure what my point is that I'm trying to communicate at this moment. I've picked on some examples of media outlets that I've listened to over the past couple of days, and I just find it so clear who their intended target audience is. It doesn't really matter, that's not an original point. I just think it's worth highlighting that when we experience difficult situations such as this, we actually fail to stop talking to one another and go into our own comfort zones and want to see the world how we perceive it. We stare at the same facts and draw different conclusions. I would always advocate that everyone takes a measured approach, gets out of their echo chamber, and experiences news from the other side. If you are an avid Fox News viewer, please view CNN once in a while, and vice versa. I think it does you no harm to watch those that you disagree with, and perhaps would make you a far more rounded individual with more circumspect notions of what's actually going on in the world.